Jonathan failed at his dream of becoming a famous sports journalist and had to get a real job and a beautiful family and fulfilling life. But fortunately, anyone in America can record a podcast. His good buddy Jackson has a great radio voice and happens to know a lot about golf because he works at a golf course. Together, they will bring you the Not So Ball Knowers, a thrilling podcast where we deliver lukewarm takes and interview guests much smarter than us. Get excited because this podcast has some exciting stuff. Welcome to the Not So Ball Knowers. Welcome back to another episode of the Not So Ball Knowers podcast. It is March 9th while we're recording, and it's a wonderful time of the year, Jackson. Do you know why? Because it's the time that we all finally start recognizing all the great regional universities that we grew up around. I'm watching ETSU, the SoCon Championship. I'm a very casual ETSU fan as a Johnson City native. So when they're in the championship game, I will watch. And if they win this game, I will watch their NCAA tournament game until they start losing big by halftime. But I don't know. Hopefully the Bucks win and then they give a 2 seed a run for their money. But right now they're losing to Furman Palladians, which Furman also a great university, Jackson. It's been a fun game so far, but hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great, Jonathan. Yeah, Furman's fielded some squads in the past, but 'tis the season for, championship conference tournaments leading up to March Madness. It's a good time of the year. A lot of good basketball to watch. I know that, we can say what we want to say about the conference tournaments, but I still enjoy watching the games this week. I know I'll be, the winner of the first round tonight that will go on to play TCU tomorrow. I think that game's at 9:30 tomorrow night. So something to look forward to, something to watch on a Tuesday night. So,
no, it's basketball. So here's the thing is that the conference tournament, the Power Four conference tournaments are completely meaningless, but it's still basketball, which means I'm still going to watch. I'm still going to have fun. Every now and then you have Georgia when there was that 2008, I believe there was that tornado that tore through the Georgia Dome. Georgia won 3 games in 2 days and made it to the tournament. Yep. So you still have those teams like that. And then also, like I just said, I just really like right now it's a 6-point game, but I mean, just conference pride. And it's just a chance for some of these smaller colleges to be in the national spotlight. And it's cool that ETSU is on ESPN right now, Jackson. Great university. My mom actually teaches there. She found out they were playing in the championship game yesterday when I texted her, but she's still very proud. She's a very proud Buck, Jackson.
That's awesome. That's super cool. I had no idea that your mom worked there and was a professor there. That's awesome.
Yeah, she loves it. I don't know. She may not actually listen to this pod because I'm still not sure she's aware of its existence. But yeah, very proud of my mom, very proud of Mother Toy. And she loves being an ETSU Buccaneer. So hopefully they pull it out. And like I said, Furman's also a very respectable university. So cool that their alumni and fan base get to be in the spotlight tonight as well. So that's why I love conference championships, Jackson.
Absolutely. It's always fun to watch these schools that, obviously everybody's been watching Miami of Ohio all season. People have been pretty locked in on LIU, Long Island University, just these schools that, it's fun to watch these small regional teams. Obviously the buzz around my area right now is UVA basketball, seeing as how I live 45 minutes north of Charlottesville. There's a lot of buzz surrounding that program and what they will do in the tournament. Not really a small regional school by any means, but there's still a lot of buzz around it, which is super cool.
Yeah, and Virginia has a great basketball program. But before we go any further, Jackson, we do have to start out with some sad news. This episode is dedicated to our producer Jared's dog, Clove. Jared and his wife and family had to say goodbye to Clove last week. So just keep them in your thoughts and prayers because they both really love that dog. She was a very sweet dog, a very loving dog, and it's just always hard to say goodbye to a pet. So please keep our producer in your thoughts and prayers. They're going through a hard time. But yeah, just Clove. I did love Clove. Very sweet dog. And this episode is going to be dedicated in her honor.
Yeah, absolutely. We're thinking about Jared and his family, praying for him. Clove, I met Clove many, many times. I know you probably met her or spent more time with her than I did, but super cool dog. I remember the first time I met, actually, the first time I met Jared. Well, sorry, second time I met Jared. My wife and I were staying in their guest bedroom, and at like 7:30 a.m., Clove came full steam ahead, bounding onto the bed, and just like didn't even know she was doing it, but just took one paw and just like, caught the side of my face and my chest. And but it was an act of love. It was not an act of aggression. So super sweet dog. We love you, Clove. Enjoy doggy heaven. So
Just a magnificent German Shepherd. But yeah, rest in peace, Clove. And if our listeners have pets, give them cuddles, give them hugs, give them some extra pets for us, because you just need to treasure every moment you have with pets. We don't deserve them. So this episode is dedicated to Clove. So we are recording. I do have to ask how your weekend was. We are recording on a Monday. We normally do it Sunday, but you had to be a good husband and sounded like you made your wife a dinner. But other than that, how was your weekend, buddy?
yeah, it was great, Jonathan. I don't know about you, but we've had really nice weather here in
Yeah.
Virginia, and I took advantage fully of the weather. I worked. I typically will work on Saturdays for my job, so worked on Saturday. My wife came home Saturday night, picked us up some takeout for dinner since we both worked, or since she drove home from a trip that she was on, and I worked. And then Sunday was excellent. Got up, went to church, and then, like I mentioned, my wife is about to leave for another big business trip that she's got out in the great state of Utah. And so, anyways, long story short, you were happy or nice enough to grant us permission to record tonight. So, what did I do yesterday, Jonathan? I busted out the grill for the first time this year. It was
Nice.
a
Let's
beautiful
go.
beautiful 74 degrees. I'm very, very proud of my grill setup. I've got a pretty awesome back deck area, and so got the grill cleaned up for the season. Still had a little propane left over from last year. Definitely going to have to re-up my supply though before the season really gets going. But did my signature burger recipe, which is a blue cheese spiced burger
Oh, that
loaded with
sounds good.
spices and goodness, and they were chef's kiss.
I haven't eaten yet, Jackson, so I'm starting to get hungry. I should have had dinner before this podcast, because that's going to have me thinking about food this entire episode.
It was great, man. A couple of IPAs on the back deck. It was like 65 degrees when I cranked up the grill last night. Just had some music going. It was an all-American Sunday night for sure.
Nice. So are you going to ask how my weekend went?
Yeah, I was getting there. How did your weekend go, Jonathan?
All right, thanks for asking. Yes, I was going to use this to flex that I got to experience how the other half lives at the Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena. My friend Gabe was sick, so hopefully Gabe's feeling better. But he offered, he said, "Hey, do you want these lower level tickets? I can't go." So Jackson, I sat 15th row. The seats had cushions at the Food City. Like, I was sitting in cushioned seats. It had drink holders. You got to see like Felix Okpara's biceps. Like, that's how close we were. We got to see how like huge these athletes are. And I had a really close view to watch Tyler Tanner ball out, and as Vanderbilt drove past the Vols without Nate Ament. But I felt like a fancy person for 2 hours. It was really nice. Got my 15th row seat and got to watch the Vols lose another basketball game. Felt truly blessed.
That's awesome. That's super cool. Yeah, it sucks that they lost, but always fun to go have an experience like that. I remember a TCU, the Rose Bowl game a few years ago. My dad and I were lucky enough to be gifted tickets on the 50-yard line on the TCU side.
Nice.
and like 15 rows up.
Wait, you said was this the 2010 one or 11?
Yes, so many years
I was going to
ago.
say, I say it's like a few
Like
years ago
yeah,
now.
several years ago. Yeah, we had tickets on the 50-yard line, like 15 to 20 rows up at the Rose Bowl. And yeah, you're totally right. Like experiencing a game from, like when the game you and I went to a few weeks ago, we were up in like the mega nosebleeds. But yeah. So that's awesome. I'm glad you had a great weekend. And, outside of the Vols loss, which they'll still be a tournament team. So I guess it's not too bad. But yeah, glad you had a good weekend.
No, I had a great weekend. No, that's all I wanted to say about basketball. I think at this point, you kind of know what your team is. I feel like fans kind of know like their team's ceilings, their strengths, their limitations. I think there's that hope that for most teams, it's like, all right, our ceiling's Sweet 16, but maybe something happens and we get lucky and we make the Elite Eight, or we go on one of those runs where we make it to the Final Four. But for the most part, you're like, all right, the regular season, we know what this team is. We know like what seed we're going to have. Let's just get to the tournament. And that's kind of where I'm at with Tennessee. And also, warning to everyone, I hope you all like were on a diet. I hope you all were able to lose weight, because with conference championship week and the NCAA tournament, I don't know about if people are more disciplined than me, but I'm in trouble, Jackson, because I did not lose weight. I tried to start a diet. I wasn't great at it, and that's bad news for me because I eat like a mother trucker during the NCAA tournament.
I'm with you, man. When my wife's so I normally cook. When my wife is out of town, I get bitten by the takeout bug pretty often, just because I mean, I'm sure you've experienced living alone and you can understand that, yeah, of course you can cook for one, but it's difficult to cook for one person. It's so much easier to cook for two people. And so like I I might be using this as an excuse, but I find myself guilty of just when she's out of town, not wanting to dirty up the kitchen, not wanting to, to cook a bunch. And there's this street taco restaurant that's like 2 blocks from my house. There's
Nice.
there's a Greek restaurant that does euros that's like a 4-minute drive from my house. And so like I find myself when I'm 10 or 15 minutes out from my house on my commute home, I'm getting them on the phone and I'm like, I need 4 tacos to go ASAP. And the taco place I don't know if you've ever had a pupusa, but if you like pupusas, they make a great pupusa as well. So
Usa, yeah. I wasn't gonna try to pronounce that because I feel like that could lead to some trouble and give our producer Jared some a nightmare editing that. But no, yeah, like I stepped on the scale this morning. I was like, oh, I've really let myself go. And then I realized like, well, it doesn't matter now because it's March. I'm gonna order pizza. Shout out Donato's down the street. Yeah, for March Madness, you have to get pizza. You have to get a lot of beer. You have to get like Taco Bell. You have to make a run to Taco Bell, or if you've had too many
yep.
beers, hopefully you're being responsible and you're door dashing Taco Bell for the late night. Because like, yeah, fourth meal, like you just realize like, oh, like I still like you get that 10 o'clock and you're like, oh, like we still have 3 hours of basketball left. I need some food to get me through this. That's when you DoorDash fourth meal from Taco Bell. Um,
Yep. I'm
that's a
there with you, man. My new obsession, I've been buying those like pretzel chips in the deli section of the grocery store. And then I've been buying a thing of the horseradish pub cheese. And like 10 p.m. hits, that's my go to like 10 p.m. snack. And then I just make sure I run 3 or 4 miles the next day to work off all the
yeah,
calories I'm taking in at
I
10
won't
p.m.
I won't be running 3 or 4 miles. I will be eating more the next day. So yeah, that that's why I think people love the NCAA tournament. It's an elite like excuse to eat. Like it and Christmas and Super Bowl Sunday, I think are like the like goats of like excuses just to pig out. And Thanksgiving. So I guess you have your Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, Super Bowl Sunday, and the NCAA tournament are like the 4 like great eating events where you can eat all you want and not get any judgment from anyone. But
I would agree. I would agree.
I'm really excited about the NCAA tournament, and we have our golf stuff. But now that we're talking about basketball, I'm just gonna rearrange the show notes and get to my hot take, Jackson, about conference
Yeah, let's
tournaments.
do basketball first. We can save golf for later.
I just don't want to jump around. Like our listeners are already probably close to turning this off once we started talking about food. So
They're like these bozos have done nothing but talk about food for 15 minutes, and this is supposed to be a sports podcast.
yeah, and we're not exactly Carmen Bruskowski from The Bear. Shout out, great TV show. I don't know if I pronounced his last name right. But for conference tournaments, another elite eating event, and with basketball on the TV 24/7, I just wish that I think, and I want Tennessee to do this for the record. I want teams to rest their best players. If you're a lock for the tournament, you should give your players a rest because they're tired. And then this should be like an addition to see who should earn their NIL paycheck, and let the reserves play as a chance to say, hey, either I'm going to prove that I'm worth the NIL money, or another school's going to see me and pay me. So I feel like it should be an addition for next season, and all the established players. So you got an ESPN notification, but
I did.
all the established players just rest and get ready for the tournament. Because I would love that for Tennessee. Rick Barnes said Nate Met might be ready for the SEC tournament. Tennessee, I think they're locked at a 5 seed. They might drop down to a 6, but I don't want Nate Met playing. I want him to rest and be as healthy as possible for the first weekend. So I'm fine. I don't want Nate Met playing. Jacoby Gillespie, their second best player, or best player depending on the night. He's tired. He's been playing like 35 minutes. I want Gillespie to rest too. So I would be cool if Tennessee's 2 best players. And honestly, let's throw in Bishop Boswell. He had the flu. He's sick. I want it to be I want Tennessee's talented freshmen, because I'm really excited about them. I want them to play in the SEC tournament and see what they got. And I think most other teams, like if you're Duke, like Cooper Flagg almost got hurt last year. I don't want to risk that with Cameron Boozer or any of the Boozer twins. I would sit them and just let other players play.
Sorry, my headphones disconnected and then reconnected. I had to get my AirPods. But anyways, we're good. So what happened? Oh, I just found out. They connected to my wife's phone. She's in the living room watching a TV show, and she just said, your AirPods connected to my phone. So that's what happened. So apologies, Jared, for this editing fiasco here at the beginning. But what I was going to ask Jonathan, and I am in the same camp as you, 100% on certain players, especially your star players. Like, I know David Punch and Micah Robinson and, like some of TCU's best players, God forbid they get hurt, I mean, we've got this, like, each team has these handful of players, and I'm leaving out a few players' names there, who, in my opinion, are very valuable, but God forbid one of them get hurt. But what does a team like a TCU or like a Georgia or like a Utah State, like a team that is right now projected somewhere between 7 and 10, and say they go and win 2 or 3, games in their conference tournament and could improve their seed. Do you still think that a team like that should take that approach? What's your opinion there?
I was mainly also being sarcastic, because also it's sad that all these players are super competitive and they're going to want to play every game. So unless you're Darian Peterson from Kansas, you're likely going to, if you're 100%, you're going to play. No flame to Peterson. He, for all our Kansas listeners, they're probably like nodding their heads silently now. But yeah, he doesn't like to take risks with injuries. But most other players, if they're somewhat healthy, they're going to try to win the conference tournament. And even though we acknowledge they don't matter, teams still want to win. And you asked about improving their seeding, and that's why I don't think it matters, because with TCU, I feel like they're in the 9 seed. So I feel like if they went on a run and won the Big 12, the best seed they could get is probably a 7 seed.
Right.
It marginally improves it. So I think that's why the risk, and like those, and Georgia and TCU can improve it significantly. Duke could lose. They're still going to be a 1 seed. I think the worst for Florida is I think if Florida loses the first game, they might drop to a 2 seed. But like
Right.
I think for the most part, most of these teams come in knowing what their seed was or is
I
going to
just would
be.
hate for like in TCU's case, Xavier Edmonds, his nickname this year has been the walking double double because he's just a double double machine. Like I would hate for a player like that to go down before our first bid to the tournament in 2 years, that would suck.
So that's why I wish that coaches would. And I also would think with like NFL and basically it's like contract renegotiation at the end of every season. I feel like this would be a good chance for players to prove. I think it'd be a good chance for players to prove that they earned like a nice little raise. I think that's what the conference tournament should be with the college sports landscape changing. I think conference championships should be like, some like I think I need to give a radio host Tony Vasilio credit, but he basically, how like pro players have contract years. The conference championship game should just be a contract year where players who schools are kind of on the fence about should we pay this guy and give him a significant raise or not. This is the chance for players to prove that they've earned a bump in paycheck.
Right, right.
That's kind of what I want. That's kind of what I want to see conference tournament. And I say that slightly biased, of course, Jackson, through orange covered lenses. I am a huge Amari Evans fan. He's a freshman this year. He was awesome in the Vanderbilt game. I mean, Vanderbilt kicked our butt. Congrats to them. You all have a great squad, but I thought Amari Evans was a huge bright spot, and I kind of want to see him get a lot more playing time in the conference tournament because I'm kind of thinking about the future. And I'm like, oh, okay, Tennessee has a nice freshman class. Pay all them, get like a couple of additions in the transfer portal, and Tennessee basketball might be good. Amari Evans might make sure Rick Barnes stays around for another 3 to 4 years.
Well, and I, we had on one of our earlier episodes, we talked about the value of conference championship games for football. I put way more value into a football conference championship than I do a basketball, even though committee aside, playoff committee aside for football, like it's just, I think that there is the prestige aspect of knowing, it's like Sam always jokes about our friend Sam jokes about how he has deer camp the weekend of the SEC championship game because he knows Tennessee will never play in an SEC championship. And I hope that Tennessee can prove him wrong one day. But, I like coming from a school that we have played in a conference championship game in the last 3 or 4 years. Like there was a lot of juice behind that game, and it didn't matter at that point the year that TCU got into the playoffs. But like, I definitely think that the football conference championships hold a lot more value outside of basketball. I think it is just another piece of hardware. Obviously, it means a lot to the players, and it's another chance for, the players to, again, all these, especially seniors. And even though with the transfer portal and NIL, seniors is a loose term now, but I think there is still value in playing those additional games as a team together, leading up to, to the dance. And for the teams that aren't going to make the dance, I think that they still enjoy, getting the chance to play games together. So,
well, no, that's the thing about, I would kind of push back on the conference football championships being more important because I do think that for most of the conference football championship games, both teams are making the playoffs for the Power 4 teams at least. Sorry, I just saw ETSU is really struggling right now. Furman's taking control of this game. But no, I will say that for like, I think the magic, like I said, with college basketball tournaments is it's a chance for teams who've had disappointing years or who their seasons are ending. It's a chance for them to like make something happen one last time. And you do see, even at the Power 4 level, a team get hot. NC State is the perfect example. And I think that's why you should say that conference tournaments, I think for me, matter more than football because NC State was not making the 2024 NC State team with DJ Burns was not making the NCAA tournament if they didn't win the ACC tournament. They got hot in the ACC tournament, and then they got hot and went on a great run and the NCAA tournament. So I think that's what's kind of the magical parts of these conference tournaments is you can have a team like NC State who uses it to like catapult, and it's one last opportunity if you've had a disappointed basketball season. It's your one last opportunity to like make something to salvage the season. And NC State did that 2 years ago, and then Georgia '08, and I'm probably forgetting. Oh, I would be remiss, Jackson. 2011, UConn was having a good season, but then Kemba Walker used that Big East tournament run, and that kind of fueled them to a national title run. So
Right.
I joke about it not being important, and I still think that for a lot of these schools, it doesn't matter, but it does. Like conference tournaments do matter to a lot of schools, and right now, I will say that the smaller conferences, it's awesome. Like this SoCon championship on my TV is electric right now. It's in Asheville, close driving distance to both schools, Jackson, and you can both
Yep.
both these fan bases are in it, and both like yeah, I'm watching a guy who face painted himself gold and blue to support his school. It pretty cool environment right now.
Absolutely. And I guess, yeah, that is a good point. And I still am going to say that I think that football conference titles are important. But I will agree with you. Yes, obviously when that team gets hot at the right time and gets hot in their conference tournament and it makes the dance, that's always a neat story. So yes, I will. Yeah, I'll give credit where credit's given. That's a fair point.
And I'm also thinking too, in terms of injuries, how unimportant like with the playoffs now for football. Like I honestly don't think, like I think it would be nice, but I honestly don't think football would matter because we talk about injuries for basketball. I'm just thinking about how mad I'd get if Tennessee was a lock for the playoffs and one of their best players like got injured in the SEC title game and couldn't play in the playoffs. I would be like, well,
Right.
so yeah, like if you ask me, I think I would still honestly, yeah, honestly, I kind of like the basketball format. Like, I kind of want under the new playoff format. I'm kind of cool with them starting the playoffs a week early and getting rid of conference championship games. But that can be a conversation in the summer when we don't have much to talk about other than the Yankees.
Other than baseball, we'll get to talk about baseball.
Kyle's going to be coming on a lot during the summer.
Kyle will be a regular in the summertime when we need to break up the monotony of us talking about monotony.
Oh, and then we have all the cool golf tournaments are in.
There's a lot of good golf stuff in the summer. That's very true. That's very true.
All right, well, I'm kind of done talking about college basketball.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add. I would assume next week we're probably going to either record later on a Sunday night or maybe on a Monday, since I think we're all going to want to watch the bracket unveiling next Sunday.
Did I tell you exciting news?
No.
We're going to have to do it on Monday because David Cobb from CBS Sports. So we're actually having a real person. A real like journalist on the show. He can't do.
I knew you were working on getting him, but yeah.
He can do the podcast next week, but Monday works better because he'll be working on Sundays, and Selection Sunday's a crazy time for him. He'll be doing previewing the brackets, and he'll be breaking down most likely teams.
Well, it would be, that'll be good. And then that way, that'll give us a chance to watch it as well, because I know that I am going to want to watch it. So
I agree. And then it'll be enough time for us to have takes about the NCAA tournament.
Yes, absolutely. Anything else to add to basketball? I mean, like you said, I don't think there's a whole lot else we can talk about other than happy conference championship week and happy almost March Madness. So.
Yeah, no, right now, Furman still has control 50-40, and just ETSU's shot selection right now isn't great. A bunch of mid-range and contested layups, but yeah, it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for the Buccaneers. Sorry to all the Johnson City listeners.
There's still time left.
Yeah, there's still 14:48 left, so.
It's a lot of time. 10 points, that's a lot of time.
I agree.
A lot of time. All right, well, what's next on our our rather short list tonight. I know we don't have a ton to talk about tonight because we know the next couple episodes will be lengthy as we dive in deep into basketball. So, what do we have next, Toy?
Well, what next is this is related to basketball, but I just kind of had to brag about being a good husband, and this is something that maybe our wives could even listen to.
Okay.
Instead of watching basketball, my wife and I watched the BBC series Pride and Prejudice. She had a really tough week at work, and honestly, I was kind of basketballed out after watching us lose to Vanderbilt. So I said, "Honey, why don't we? Why don't I'll let you watch whatever you want to watch tonight. I don't need to watch sports anymore." So we put the Pride and Prejudice series on, and it's a very elite broadcast. I like it a lot better than the movie with Keira Knightley.
Oh, okay. Hands up. I don't know a ton about Pride and Prejudice at all. So you're far more an expert on that than I am. My wife she knows a good amount about it, but I
I love
am
the
very
book.
novice.
I would
I
say
haven't even read the book.
you should.
I'm a big reader, and I'm not a big reader. I enjoy reading when I have the time to read, but I've never read the book. So
The book is awesome. No, I do want Jared to make this a short because I want all our listeners to hear what a great husband I am and that I watch Pride and Prejudice over college basketball. But no, I think all guys should read Pride and Prejudice just to learn about how to be an alpha male. Mr. Darcy is an alpha male, and he's not like the toxic alpha male that you think of. Like, he has to learn. So he has to have his pride humbled a little bit. And, it's a Pride and Prejudice, like that kind of describes like the themes of the novel. So, you know,
right, right,
he's too awesome. And he kind of has to realize like, hey, I sometimes need, like, he has to learn how to make small talk with people and be a little bit kinder. And the great part about Pride and Prejudice is that there's a bunch of characters that you can see them and you're like, oh, yeah, I like you. For example, like there's a Mr. Collins, there's this like idiot like preacher that has no self awareness and kind of just makes a fool of himself. And you're like, oh, yeah, we all know a Mr. Collins. Sometimes, to be honest, I'm a Mr. Collins, sadly, just the guy who is kind of a buffoon and he doesn't realize he's a buffoon. And I feel like I'm monopolizing this conversation because you haven't read the book or Pride and Prejudice, but great book. I recommend all guys read it. It will help you learn some important lessons. It's a really great romance story too. I'm a sucker for a romantic comedy, and Pride and Prejudice has plenty of comedy and romance. And if you don't read, at least watch the BBC series. It's only 6 episodes and some great acting. Colin Firth is Mr. Darcy.
okay. Well, as you know, I'm trying to read 24 books this year, so I'm sure one of my 24 could be Pride and Prejudice. It's a shame I haven't read it yet. I know I'm sure I'll get some flack in the comments for having not read it yet, but I'll add it to my list for this year.
Yeah, and if you are listening to this, comment. We need more comments. So comment your favorite Jane Austen novel. I think mine is probably Pride and Prejudice. Emma is second, and because those are the only two I've read. But yeah, we need to start a dialogue in the YouTube comments. So comment your favorite Jane Austen novel.
Not So Ball Knowers Book Club coming at you live.
I will read Pride and Prejudice out loud. I don't know what the copyright is for that. I'm sure since it's in public domain by now, but we can maybe do a reading. Jackson and I can read Pride and Prejudice
That would be great.
and
That would be awesome.
offer some commentary on it.
That would be awesome. I love it. All right. Well, cool. Pride and Prejudice. I'm going to add it to my list. Again, I know it's bad. I haven't read it, so I'll add that to one of my 24 for this year.
And yeah, and I watched that instead of Duke in North Carolina because Duke was killing them at halftime. And I was like, I don't need to. I kind of knew what was going to happen. And I also knew that Alabama was going to kill Auburn. So two really good teams.
So I have a follow up on my coworker, who has the Duke connections.
Yeah.
So he has a family member whose name is etched into one of the walls, not like graffiti etched, like commemorated in
Well, that's
Cameron
awesome.
Indoor. And his family's had season tickets for tens, eons and eons. So he is 100% not a bandwagon fan, even though he did not go to school there.
No, that's
Um,
awesome.
but he told me that he told me, quote, I cost myself a chance to attend a Duke game with him next year.
Get
So
him on the podcast. You didn't say anything about Duke.
I know it was all you.
We were, and
So
no, and
I'm going to keep working on him.
I was very complimentary of Duke. I like Duke. I like this Duke team a lot. I'm probably picking them to win the championship. And
I think so. You think our guys group will do a bracket challenge again this year?
yeah, hopefully I don't come in last, because this year I'm actually not picking Tennessee because that's really backfired on me.
Yeah, I always do one like fun bracket where I pick TCU to win it all, and then I have like 2 or 3 real brackets where I pick a couple different, and I'll put one in one. I'm in 3 different groups. I'm usually in a work group, I'm in a family group, and I'm in our group. So I'll put one in our group, put one in my family group, and one in my work group. So
Yeah, I'm gonna probably go pretty chalk this year. I just feel like Arizona, Michigan, and Duke are all making the Final Four, and then probably Florida because they look awesome.
Florida looks really good. Yeah, that's been TCU's best Q1 win this year has been Florida.
Yeah, I better say, like, that's looking better and better as the season goes on.
Yeah, that win is the win that's essentially locked us up. I mean, we had a great year, but we also had like the second easiest second half of our season schedule wise. I think we had 1 ranked opponent or 2 ranked opponents in our last like 14 games or
But
something crazy, and we beat both those ranked opponents, but still.
But I mean, you guys have kind
Yeah.
of stacked up some quality wins. Like Iowa State's really good. Texas Tech is a 4 seed. So yeah,
Yeah, and
TCU's
we beat Texas Tech on the road too. So
and
we beat them at their place.
Lubbock's a really hard place to win.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, 21 conference win or 21 wins on the season, 11 conference wins, nothing to shake a stick at. I think I wouldn't want to be facing, I mean, TCU won 8 of their last 9 games. I would not want to face this TCU team in the conference in the tournament at all.
They're the 8 seed that will make 1 seeds nervous because
absolutely.
Although the 1 seeds this year are really good, but Florida's a projected 1 seed and TCU beat them, so you never know. But it's sort of like,
now, granted, we beat them like when they were struggling at the start of the season at at an off-site, neutral site tournament, around the holidays. So there's always to be something said for those Thanksgiving tournaments. How much stock or. I mean, it's a great win. I'm not discounting the win. I'm a TCU fan, but there's only so much, to be said for that. But anyways, I'm pumped up. I think TCU as an 8 or a 9 seed is a very good, especially if they can get out of the first round. And right now I saw Lenardi has them projected to play Utah State in the first round, and that could change. But if they can get through that first round, I think easily could be a Sweet 16 team, like very easily could be.
Yeah, just the problem is the 1 seeds are all very salty, so they would have to play their best game of their life. But you never know. That's the magic of March.
Absolutely.
Come on. ETSU had the rebound, and both players were going for it, and they both went for it at the same time, and it bounced out of bounds. Like you got to communicate better. The Bucks, you got to communicate better, Bucks.
Oh, all righty. So we've got Pride and Prejudice. We got college basketball. You want to do our ad read for the night, Toy?
I do kind of want to do the ad read because, well, I was going to ask you, Jackson, what's your favorite TCU like media or podcast?
Well, I'm a big fan of Jamie Pluckett and Melissa Treeblosser. They do the Frogs Insider podcast, which is a part of Dave Campbell's
Sports Network, which is a local.
Oh, I know Dave
It's
Campbell.
all the Texas. Yeah, it's all the Texas schools. I always forget that you lived in Kerrville, so you're
Yeah,
hip to all of
I
that.
still have the Dave Campbell app. I never deleted it from my phone.
Yeah. So, Dave Campbell's, I think they call it the Republic of College Football now or something like that. The name went through a change, I think, earlier this year or late last year. But big fan. Go give Melissa and Jamie a follow on social media. You can find Jamie at Frog Preacher on X, the Everything app. I'm forgetting Melissa's handle right off the top of my head, but they're great. Just a wealth of knowledge. And I love that the thing that they do the best, Toy, which I really appreciate, is there's even coverage. There's even coverage of, well, all sports, but there's even coverage across men's and women's TCU sports, which I think is really important. I think it's very easy with some of the radio shows to get wrapped up and in only focusing on the sports that gross universities big chunks of change, when we need to be recognizing some serious, awesome athletic feats that are happening across smaller sports. For example, TCU has an incredible women's rifle team. We have a really good women's soccer team. Our women's soccer team kind of replaces what would be the hype of a softball team. We've got a nasty women's soccer team. We've got a pretty good volleyball team as well. And I mean, we all already know this. We've got a really good men's baseball team. And so across some of these sports that don't gross universities big chunks of change, one thing that I really appreciate about Jamie and Melissa is their unbiased coverage across all TCU athletics. It's an awesome podcast. I highly recommend. If you're even just a casual fan of Big 12 sports, they're just two professionals. So I know that they will probably never listen to this podcast, but
Never say
just
never.
know Jamie and Melissa. Melissa and I had a back and forth regarding some TCU coaching changes or potential changes 2 seasons ago. And it was a very, it was not a heated exchange or anything on Twitter, but yeah, they're great. They're awesome. They love what they do. They're invested in what they do. And they represent TCU athletics very well and very professionally. So
That's sweet. That's well said. I hope they hear that. You said a lot of nice things about them. Man, poor ETSU. Furman's just hitting every big time shot. They have a 13-point lead. I don't think the Bucks are coming back this time.
How much time is left?
There's 10:53, but the thing is every time that ETSU like makes a big basket or threatens to get back in the game, Furman just hits a clutch 3 or they just hit a big time shot. It just looks like it's going to be the Palladians night in Asheville, North Carolina.
Gotcha.
But I can do my ad read.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I was going to say, if you're a Tennessee fan and you just accidentally stumbled upon this podcast and your thought is, wow, these guys suck, I have some good news. My friend John Reed and Seth Hughes have their podcast called Reed's Ranch. They do a podcast every week. And then John also has a radio show. I actually kind of like fan run radio. There's some good shows. Like I'll listen to Tony Basilio. I always listen to John Reed's morning show. And then more importantly, Jackson, if you like John Reed, sign up for his Patreon at patreon.com/Reed's Ranch. I'm a patron and I've gotten a lot of free stuff because if you live in Knoxville, it's really advantageous because patrons will like basically give their tickets away for free. John gives away a lot of free basketball and baseball tickets to patrons, and he has a lot of cool watch party events. And then for football season, he'll have tailgates once or twice a year. So, and like the lowest level of patron is $2. For $2 you have a chance. But yeah, don't be frugal with your money for someone this generous. Like you can at least be a $5 patron. But no, I like his radio insights, and he also has some really good guests. So like Will Warren really knows basketball, and he'll come on the show. His co-host Cody McClure is very funny. Seth knows a lot and is really funny. So yeah, I know we don't primarily cover Tennessee sports, but if you want to get Tennessee coverage and free stuff, I'd recommend going to his stuff. And recently I noticed that people in the some of his patrons have actually subscribed to this podcast. So I know I've been
Oh.
gassing John up, and you know how like that internet meme when some guy is like trying to like say how much he likes a girl or like talk about the celebrity, they'll say, "I hope she sees this, bro." Well, I do hope John sees this. So Trent or AJ or one of our recent subscribers, if you're listening to this, please let John know that I gassed him up, and Seth, that I gassed him up on the podcast and told them to become patrons to our 96 subscribers. So we're almost to 100 subscribers, and we get probably about 100 people listen every episode. So I told 100 people to subscribe to patreon.com/freezerant. I'm doing my part, and that's my free ad read, is just support people who
That's
actually
awesome.
who support local media. There's a lot of good Tennessee coverage. I like VolQuest. I think it's like $12 a month, but Brent Hubbs has been doing that for years. ETSU is now down 15. I hope Brent Hubbs isn't a Bucks fan because looks like they're not going to win, but he does a good job. And then I like Tony Basilio's post-game show. So, Tennessee has a lot of media coverage. For their sports
absolutely.
teams.
They're good stuff across the board there. I've listened to those guys before. It's been, I don't listen to them consistently, but yeah, absolutely.
And then you can also, that's all I had to say is just join the Patreon. You get a free stuff. You get access to John Reed's Discord, which has a lot of great content. You need to have thick skin because they will roast you if you have a bad sports take, which never happened to me because I never have bad sports takes, as you all know. But anyway, just wanted to give a shout out to my friend, and he got engaged recently, Jackson.
Congratulations.
It's on his non-private Instagram account, so I feel like it was also announced on his radio show. So I feel like it's okay.
So it's fine.
Yeah, I feel like it's okay for me to say that he got engaged.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
absolutely.
Congrats to him.
That's awesome. Hey, Jonathan, I'm going to grab my computer charger. I'll be back in 5 seconds.
All right.
So I'll be right back.
All right, Jackson's leaving now, so don't edit this out, Jared. I am just going to talk and ramble. The SoCon championship game, I'm just so sorry for all you ETSU fans listening. But if you're a Furman fan, they look pretty good. I wonder how many diehard Furman fans there are. I feel like for ETSU, like
I went to high school with a girl who went to Furman, so I at least know one.
I feel like for a lot of these regional schools, like at least for ETSU, like they're all usually Tennessee fans or like Florida, Georgia fans first, and then they root for ETSU.
Right. Like you root for your school when they're in a big moment. Sorry for the close up there. Everybody could just see all my acne and all that kind of stuff. But
well,
yeah,
people have to see me, so it's okay.
I think that, it's like you go to these smaller schools. Like I went to TCU with a guy, and TCU's a relatively bigger name, but I went to TCU with a guy who would wear Alabama gear to TCU football games.
Okay, that's gross.
He was that big of an Alabama fan, was raised an Alabama fan. So he'd wear a TCU polo and an Alabama hat, or a TCU hat and an Alabama polo on game day.
Yeah. I mean, good for him. I guess he's watched a lot of championship games, and he got to go to you got to get a good education. So that guy seems like he's doing well in life.
He's I won't name him by name, but he is a good guy. So
are we ready to move on to golf?
Yeah, I've got tonight's going to be fun because I am going to briefly talk about what happened in the world of golf, but then we're going to work on building your golf knowledge toys so that when you're, during the Masters in a few weeks, when you're drinking a beer with some friends and somebody asks you a question about a golf related item, you'll be able to answer it. No problem. So I've got some golf trivia questions lined up. I've got them on my phone. They are not in the show notes so that you would not be able to read them in advance.
Good.
But before we do that, just a couple things to note PGA Tour wise. I'm pulling up the leaderboard from this past week's event. Let's see here. Leaderboard. I can, as it loads, Akshay Bhatia won the event this week. So if you're not familiar with Akshay, what's kind of cool about Mr. Akshay Bhatia is he is he forewent college. Like he didn't go to college. He went straight to the PGA Tour. And a lot of people were like, well, he didn't go straight to the PGA Tour. He turned professional immediately after high school. Very good junior player, but we're not talking like he didn't, there weren't people saying that he was going to be the next Tiger Woods, right? So a lot of people were very worried about this decision for young Akshay to just completely skip, skip college. And he's got some hilarious stories where he's like, yeah, I was so young that I couldn't rent cars. So instead of renting cars, he would rent U-Hauls, like a U-Haul truck to take to and from tournaments because he was not old enough to rent a car. Fast forward a few years, he earns his PGA Tour card. He's now won a couple times on tour, won in a playoff this week against Daniel Berger, who is coming back from an injury, but somebody that I would call a PGA Tour veteran, Daniel Berger, but played really well. I mean, he won on the first playoff hole, and it was a limited field event, but it was a signature event, meaning that it carries more points towards the FedEx Cup and more money in the purse. So congratulations to young Akshay Bhatia. I'm not entirely sure I remember how old he is. I'm going to Google that too. I'm pretty sure he is very young. I think he's still in his early 20s. Yeah, Akshay's 24, so he's way younger than us, and he just
young.
won $4 million. He just won almost $4 million on the PGA Tour yesterday. So, congratulations to congratulations to Akshay. And what's exciting is this week toy in the world of professional golf is the Players Championship, which is arguably the fifth biggest tournament of the season. So you've got your four majors, the Masters, the PGA, the US Open, and then the Open Championship are your four majors. Arguably the fifth biggest tournament of the year is a tournament called the Players Championship. They play it at TPC Sawgrass in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. And it always brings out one of the best fields in golf. It's a great venue. I know I was kind of crapping on the Florida courses. This is the one Florida course or the one stop on the Florida swing that I love. I look forward to this week every year. So, in addition to getting geared up to watch Selection Sunday for March Madness, I will absolutely be watching golf this coming Sunday. And yeah, it's just a good week of golf. Rory won this event in a playoff last year. He won that event over JJ Spawn, a 3-hole playoff. And it's going to be a good week of golf. And I think everybody's excited to see what unfolds. So as we get closer and closer to Augusta being here, which we're 1 month away from the Masters. So we can officially start getting excited about Augusta.
That's exciting. We're on Masters watch.
We are, but that leads us to our golf Q&A session with Mr. Jonathan Toy. So,
all right, this is going
while I pull up my questions, I've got a more personal question for you, Jonathan. No. Have you ever it's a 3-part question. Have you ever played a round of golf? If so, do you remember what you shot? And the third part of this question is, do you have a favorite professional golfer? So while I pull up my questions, I'll let you answer that.
So, no, I've never played a round of golf. I went and watched David Cobb, who's going to be on the show next week, play a round of golf. So basically, I got in the golf cart and basically watched him. And then in Texas, I had some friends play golf, and I just kind of tagged along for the beverage cart and to eat. But no, I've not. I've gone to Topgolf, and I've been dreadful, but that's been it. And I'm very cliche. So like my favorite golfer growing up was obviously Tiger Woods, just because that's just what golf casuals root for, especially
right.
When I was a kid, he was at his best. So it was really fun to watch him. And then, so I will have to say that him winning the 2019 Masters was a pretty awesome moment.
Absolutely.
So like that was,
Absolutely.
I did watch that and that was really cool. So yeah, no, that's my golf knowledge.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate the answer. I've got my questions pulled up. So I've got about 5 questions that I selected for you, ranging in difficulty from very difficult to relatively easy. So we'll see how you do. And let's just go ahead and jump in. So question number 1, what, and I should turn my hat around, or I'll phrase it this way. How about this? So the Solheim Cup and the Ryder Cup are events that happen, and I've got my Solheim Cup hat on right now from when it was held up here in Virginia. So the Solheim Cup and the Ryder Cup are 2 events between which 2, we'll call it nationalities or regions. One is on the LPGA Tour, one is on the PGA Tour / DP World Tour.
USA and Europe.
That is correct. All right, that's the easiest question of the night.
Right.
So you're batting 1,000.
All right, let's go.
All right. It's going to get a little harder, okay?
I'm ready.
All right. What country was the game of golf kind of first popularized and played in?
Scotland?
That is correct. And I'll do extra credit for the century in which when golf was like the first golf course that was officially created. I'll give you extra credit if you can name the year in which it was founded, or the century.
18th century?
17th century.
Oh.
Yeah, 17th century. So you're close.
I was 100 years late.
Yeah. You were in that time frame though. But yes, so yeah, golf was popularized in the country of Scotland and, kind of spread to other parts of Europe, became very popular in England, became very popular in Ireland, and kind of across that whole area before spreading to other countries.
So golf was popular.
All right.
So wait, real quick. So golf became popular at the same time like Scotland started making golf courses at the same time Shakespeare was writing plays.
Yeah, so I was trying to pull up the exact year that St. Andrews was founded, which was one of the very first golf courses, but I can't find. Yeah, so the links at this is from an article from the USGA. The links at St. Andrews occupy a narrow strip of land. As early as the 15th century, golfers at St. Andrews established a customary route through undulating terrain. In 1764, several of the holes were deemed too short and therefore combined, which leads me to my next question. Why are golf courses 18 holes?
Because
It's a tough question.
As the 19th hole, I don't know. We're running out of time, so I'm just going to say I have no idea why there are 18 holes.
Okay. All right. So originally, because the very first big golf course, which I just mentioned was St. Andrews, was originally 11 holes, but like I just mentioned, it was shortened. A couple of the holes were deemed too short, so they were combined. So it then became 9 holes. And back in that time, it was customary to play the front 9 in one direction, and then you would play the front 9 again in the opposite direction, and that was called the back 9. So therefore, you played a total of 18 holes, and it just stuck from there on out. So 18 holes is what compromises modern golf courses today.
Dang, this is some great history. Hope this draws in more viewers who love history of golf. I'm learning a lot today.
Okay, so now we're going to go to more of some actual accomplishments in the game of golf. All right, can you give me the top 2 players who have won the most major championships? So the most Masters, US Opens, PGA Championships, and Open Championships combined. The top 2 players.
Jack Nicklaus is one.
Correct.
Isn't Tiger Woods the other?
Correct. And extra credit if you can name the amount of majors that each of those players have won.
Nicklaus has 18, I think. And then Tiger Woods has 15.
That is correct. Good job.
Go.
Very good. All right. I'm toggling to different links here. All right. All right, so we're getting to our last couple questions here. Can you name the 2 players who have the most PGA Tour wins
The most, so like of all time?
of all time? Of all time, most PGA Tour wins.
Isn't it Tiger Woods again?
It is, but he's tied for first place with another player.
And it's not Jack Nicklaus.
It is not. Jack is in third place.
I want to say it's not Phil Mickelson, is it?
No.
Yeah,
it is not.
I didn't
Phil
think
is Phil's number 8.
No, because Rory's won a lot. He's just not won major. Well, he's won majors, but he's been golfing for a long time.
Yeah, Rory's in the top 20, but he is not in the top 2.
All right, I'm waving the white flag. We will be here all night if I keep guessing.
All right, Mr. Sam Snead.
Yeah, I was never gonna get that.
Yeah, 82 PGA Tour wins spanning 1936 to 1965.
Dang, Sam
So,
had a robust golf career. Good for him.
yeah. Another fun fact about Sam played a lot of golf about 30 minutes from my hometown. So growing up, I actually got to play a golf course that he was kind of famed as a professional at. So that's, beside the point. But all right, well, that concludes my golf trivia. Toy week. We'll have another segment, maybe Masters week. I'll ask you some Masters, some Augusta National History questions that week.
No, yeah, I'm excited. I thought that was a good segment.
Absolutely, that was great. I don't know. I can talk about golf forever, so it's easy for me.
No, not at all. If I looked like I was in pain, it's because for some reason the way I'm sitting, I'm getting a pain in my leg.
Oh, well, don't do that for too long.
No, I don't know why.
We don't need you getting a blood clot or anything.
I don't know why it hurts, but yeah, I've been trying to like reposition it. I think I just am sitting weird with this new setup. But no,
All good.
But
Well,
no.
that's all I've got for golf. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about the players next week for a little bit. So,
that was a big. ETSU was coming back, and then they just hit. They hit a. I think that might be the dagger. Furman's responded to every like ETSU run. It's just it doesn't seem to be the Bucks' night. But no, I like the
in other sports news, the U.S. and Mexico are tied in the World Baseball Classic game right now. Most notably, Paul Skeens, Livy Dunn's boyfriend, is pitching right now. So
yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty darn good. So
shout out to him.
Anyways.
Yeah, who's on the roster for the U.S. team? I think I know Kyle Schwarber is.
Harper, Judge, Schwarber, Bregman, Rowley, Anthony, Buxton, Witt Jr., and Skeens was the starting pitcher. And then the big news today is Tariq Skubal left the World Baseball Classic. So he's leaving Team USA and will no longer participate in the remainder of the World Baseball Classic. So.
Oh, well, that's sad.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Did he say why?
Yeah, I think it was some stuff regarding contracts and his future with the Tigers. And yeah, I was reading some headlines before we got on the show tonight about it. So I know people are disappointed, seeing as how he's
really good.
One of the great arms, one of the great arms of our current generation of baseball players. So, but yeah, not to talk about baseball. But what else do we have on the docket for tonight, Toy? We're right at an hour.
I was about to say I'm all done. He got fouled. He's going to the line to have a chance to cut this to 7 with 2:46 left. Honest, we said it would be short, and I honestly don't have anything. If you have nothing else to add, like I need to walk around and just get in a different position because
go deal with your leg cramp. We're excited to be back next week to talk a little basketball and do a breakdown. Again, we'll be out. We'll be recording next Monday so that everybody, and so specifically our guest, can take care of his 9 to 5 first before he comes on his secondary job of the Not So Ball Knowers. But yeah, we're excited to be back next week. We're excited to watch some meaningless conference basketball this week. and watch the Players Championship this weekend in golf. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you can't. If you're going to the line, you can't. I'm paying attention to you, by the way. I'm just watching the
No,
game.
you're good. You're good.
TSU just does not want to get back in this game, Jackson. It's very frustrating. But no, yeah, like I thought this podcast was okay. You did a great job. It wasn't my best effort, but keep in mind I'm a dad and I have a job, and I'm a great.
All good. We're both
all great.
Good.
We're both great husbands. We put our spouses and our kids and our jobs before this podcast. So if you're ever going to get judgy about how bad I sound, or if you're mad because I'm said something about Duke, which, by the way, I love Duke fans now. I've bent the knee. It's just keep in mind that I have a lot going on and just try to show some empathy. And right now I'm annoyed that ETSU had a chance to cut it to 7 with 3 free free throws, and this guy only made 1 of 3. That's embarrassing. That's almost as bad as some of my takes on this podcast. Come on, Bucks.
Unacceptable.
Well, Jackson, as always, I appreciate you. Jared, I appreciate you, as always. And yeah. And I do have to say, Jackson, for the trivia, you know how that was my idea? I also, if we're going to have people from John Reed's podcast, that was also an idea I got inspiration from John. I never want to plagiarize. I learned in college that you can you can rip off other people's ideas as long as you give them credit for it for the original. John would always ask Seth NBA questions because Seth doesn't really know NBA, and it would be really funny. So that's where I got the idea from. I had to cite my sources.
No, that was good. That was great. I like it. That was good stuff.
All right. Yeah, it was good. Thank you, John and Seth, for giving us a good golf segment. But yeah, that's all I have. Enjoy championship week. Congrats to our Furman.
Absolutely.
Congrats to our Furman alumni. If you stumbled upon this podcast, looks like you all are going to win. So happy for you all. ETSU Buck fans, I guess you can jump on the Tennessee bandwagon and see how far we can go with Nate Amen.
Sounds like a plan, Jonathan. Thanks for another great recording. And well, I'll talk to you this week in the group chat, but I'll see you next week for another show.
See you next week.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
All right. All right. It's time.